Thanks very much for being with us on the Public Eye. Pearnel, Charles and myself running up to a discussion on affairs in Jamaica, linking the diaspora. Looking forward to our link with Irie Jam later and our conversation with Bruce Golding, Peter Phillips and Irwine Clare and their audience and our audience. That's what the bridge does. We are the bridge for people, for cultural progress. We're looking at all of the aspects of our blessed life in Jamaica. What I was telling you before.
Connection.
Connection. Got you. Enough. You see one word.
Connection.
I use whole heap of word. You use one word and you summarize it. Here's this now. You know from my time in Parliament that I was pushing hard for legislation for the names of fathers to go on the birth certificate of each child. Yes. I failed. That legislation has not yet been countenanced, despite all the promises over 25 years. But the Registrar General of Jamaica gave us a good lift this last week, where he says that now 80% of all the children born, the fathers are coming at the time of birth or whenever and are acknowledging their children. That's a step in the right direction, Pearnel, Charles.
And to add that, if Miss Birdie say that Mas John is her baby father, and Mas John says not true, we should accommodate
DNA.
A DNA.
Yes, man.
At government expense. I would not mind I would not prevent my taxes if it's going that way.
To that. Good
Somebody
move.
just bothers about an hour. A man just bothers go and charge an hour work no more.
Good move. Good move. I accept.
No, but the truth is, probably the few percentage who have not signed on, it's probably they have not been requested or been enforced or been encouraged to do that. But it is so much good for the child.
Of course.
When you need at the date for a passport, you need to know who your father is.
Exactly. So when you need for all kinds of reasons, inheritance, migration, social, the state of your soul, all of these things require
What about the car that was quarreling over, the new one that Green is now in charge of?
The national identification.
Does the national identity require mother and father name on it?
No, I don't know that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but your heritage is important to you.
Oh, yes.
Look at we began the program talking about your heritage going forward.
Yes.
And you were telling us of your heritage going backward to your great-grandmother.
Oh, yes.
Yes. No, this is important to people's sense of balance and stability. And part of the upset that we have, I suggest to you for your comment, part of the upset that we have, part of the dis-ease, the unease that we feel as a people that leads us to do all kinds of wrong things, that leads us to underproduce, is because we're not comfortable with ourselves, you know.
In many instances, because we don't know, the discomfort comes because, for example, I met my great-grandmother.
What a privilege.
And she told me about slavery.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that she didn't tell me she know that some of the guys who came from Africa. I'm not sure because she was 105
My Lord,
when she died.
What a privilege you have.
Right? And Ronnie, she said, hold my hand. I never forget the day she said, hold my hand. Mm-hmm. She had no flesh between the bone and the skin. She was like a laughing woman.
Yeah.
But she didn't have the flesh.
Lost all the tone.
She was 105 when she died.
Well, no, but this adds something to you, you know. That is not some kind of trivial detail about a long-off memory.
No.
These things go to the substance of one's being. So, sir, when we are celebrating the 60th anniversary, when we bring people from the diaspora to conference center and wherever, we must talk about these things. We must talk about the rebuilding of family life in Jamaica. Yes?
But could I disturb you there? Can you call a word that we don't appreciate sufficiently? Mm-hmm. Do you know that there are a lot of us who don't want to know who we're related to? Or who don't know who we're related to? Do you know what the difference would be if you know that me and your cousin?
You're lying, yes.
And I can help you out, you know.
Yeah.
That we come from the same generation.
Yeah, man.
I'm not sure that that was important in Jamaica. But to me...
In fact, the reverse was the norm, where people were deliberately separated Yes, and even after slavery, during slavery, they had been separated on the grounds of being non-persons, chattels.
Yes.
Could be sold anywhere, as your grandmother said. Some go Portland, some go Trelawney, some reach St. Anne.
Yes.
It wasn't their choice.
No.
It was how they were parted up.
Right.
Yes, but we know, in the time of freedom, and more so in the time of independence, what we are dividing up ourselves on the basis of who have clearer skin than the other one.
Yeah, but
who join your party versus my party, or go to your church versus my church. We don't see how we're stupid. We're carrying on the very iniquity that has placed us in this position of dis-ease.
But you just called two names that have supported that. One, if you're not very black, or if you're brown, and you trace the economy, you'll find out,
of course,
who have more of the economic benefits.
Yes.
If you trace even the name, Ronnie,
so
when I finished high school,
right,
in Mandeville,
yeah,
I wanted to come to Kingston. My auntie was living in central Kingston. I wanted to come to Kingston and get a work.
Yeah.
When I came to Kingston, I had a very serious presentation.
Yeah.
Where do you want to work? I said, I want to work in a bank. I said,
You can't reach there.
There is no
Place.
black man or woman on the front desk of any banks.
Yes, it's true.
And she go on to say, banks, airline, insurance.
Yeah.
If you are the most brilliant boy from the school, in maths, you are in the back adding up money. Yeah. If you are not so brilliant, but you're pretty and brown, you're in the front. Now, we inherited that.
Yeah, but what have we have made big strides.
We have made a big stride.
Yeah. But have we rid ourselves, or have we replaced those abscriptive factors by others? Yes? When my children can tell me that they are professionals, they can tell me that there are certain positions, certain boards that they are qualified for, that they will never get on because they are related to me as a PNP man, and it's live right time. Yes, right. What we have done, yes, is just swap the iniquities of that you felt as a young man coming into Kingston with another set. Why are we so damn fool and wicked?
Yeah, but, Ronnie, I am not certain whether it's wicked or fool. It is an exposure that has come to me and you that we have abandoned that thought. When we were driving on the train in New York, you going up to your school and me going up to my school, I will see people. If I hear a Jamaican man talking, I go over and say, where you come from? And him laugh.
Me too.
Follow me?
Yeah.
So there is something that can put us together.
But this is it.
Hold on. Listen to the last part. I was driving from my home to come down somewhere in Kingston with one of my granddaughter. I think she was about 4 years old. And one of the big songs was being played. Ronnie, she knew every word.
Yeah, of course.
I said, hold on. What is happening here?
Yeah.
She's 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
And that was where I got the impression that music could play a major role in uniting this country.
But of course, sir. So
it could also teach children
values. No, sir.
And education.
So come now, you know what we do on this program. We meet on the bridge. So all this bit now about festival song.
Yes.
Yes? It shouldn't go so. Now, why doesn't minister and whoever, artistic expression free, we know. But why don't we say to the artists, look here, we want an uplifting, uniting piece for Festival 60.
Right.
No matter come with any punani this and brap that.
Flap, ackee and banana.
No,
but the point you're making,
I'm following you, you know.
No, but Ronnie, it would so good.
Of course.
If one of the artists said, look here.
Yeah.
And there are good artistic leaders in Jamaica.
Of course they are.
Say, listen, man, let us put a piece out there.
Yeah, man.
That brown man, black man,
everybody,
white man, rich man, and poor man can say we are Jamaican.
Inclusive. No, right? That is lovely. And even if the time's short between June 15th and August, yes? If even we did a medley of some of the best of the festival songs in the past, extolling and lifting up those values, we would have gone clear, everybody go dance this August.
Well,
instead of which, what we are doing, we are substituting bashment for civic pride.
Well, let me say this to you, and I think it's fair to give what the young man named with the PNP senator with the long hair.
Damian Crawford?
Crawford. I called Crawford to my office one day. I gave him a copy of my book.
Yeah.
I said, when you read this, you have a future that you are not protecting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, read it and start. His presentation in making this suggestion was immediately hit a spot in my head.
I thought so.
Of agreement. No. Then what we should do, or what we can do, what we should suggest, is that we find a song or two that is nationwide.
Yeah, man, I would love a medley
of some PNP or JLP or bad man or good man or
everybody join in.
No,
that we have to do.
Song that is Jamaica. Up to now, Ronnie, we have not this outer many one people.
Yeah.
We have already said it,
Yeah.
We haven't put it together yet,
Yeah, but you and I are incarnating it in one small way, and that's good. And there are others on the bridge. That's what the Bridge 99 stands for. That's why we link with Irie Jam Radio in half an hour's time. We have more to talk about the scene in JA right now. Soon come back. You're on the Public Eye of the Bridge 99 FM. Stay with Pearnel, Charles, and myself. We are the barometers of the Jamaican scene today, joining Irwine Clare and Irie Jam at midday, inviting Bruce Golding and Peter Phillips to join us for that segment, talking about the common cause in Jamaica, how we're going to come together in order to celebrate the 60th anniversary, to deal with the food shortage, the money shortage, the crime situation. All these things require unity. You don't think so? We do. Mr. Charles.
Ronnie, the artists.
Yeah.
And believe me, some of them are extremely brilliant.
Of course.
When you listen to the words of the song that they put together.
Yeah.
If they are listening now, or somebody listening, let's put a challenge to them.
Right.
We want a song that spells, well, not necessarily spells, but when you say it, you feel Jamaican.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, black man, brown man, Jamaican.
Tony Rebel, where you there?
Out of many one people.
Yes, Tony Rebel.
Yeah. Tell us that out of many, all the way one.
Yeah.
Give us something that we can sing and cut out this brown man. Hold on, that brown man is not the problem with brown man alone. Some black man prefer brown girl and black girl. Hey, man, say, hey, man, go away, man, ball. You to Pearnel. Not true. But the truth is, the reality is, our black people have had a problem with poverty. Race.
They have every reason to have the difficulties of self-acceptance.
No. But if this is Jamaica for all of it, that we want to feel, give me a song that when we sing it, they can't look on you and say all of it.
Yeah.
Don't just tell me out of many one people and I can't say it, I can't sing it.
So, Mr. Charles, let us relate that now to certain. Jamaica must take a stand, I don't know about this Commonwealth Secretary General thing. I want to hear our representatives, Mrs. Johnson Smith, and so on, take a strong stand for principle. In my view, the British government is a wicked set of people to be sending people who knock on their door to come in, yes? To put them on a plane and send them go to Rwanda while they're for settle there or forcibly settle there or go somewhere else. Hold on, sir. Look here. When the British had colonial authority over us, we could have tell them how much them sent to Jamaica or anywhere else in the world when the British Empire was flourishing. Yes? Not so long ago, in your lifetime and mine. We could have tell them whether them could come or not come. Them just come and then bring the army with them. And when they're ready, them take what they want take. That is the history of colonialism.
Yeah, but
putting it raw.
But they were saying that Jamaica was theirs.
Yeah.
I for them Columbus or who.
So no.
Them find it.
So no, when
hold on, they took it away from somebody, you know.
Of course.
Who did they find here?
The indigenous people, the Spanish people, them take
Spanish.
All right,
Spanish.
So no, when it suit them, for because they want labor, yes, Windrush pack up and then go to England, and you never even need to have any paper. You just do the work, yes, and you get something. Yes, but you never even get paper because there's no absence of that paper from 1947-48, which is causing the whole scandal about Windrush. So now when they decide that there is enough, they don't need you no more, although, yeah, what am I going to do? Send you without your will to some country in Africa? No, sir. Yeah, well, that is we as Jamaicans, yes? And if Mrs. Johnson Smith want to run as Commonwealth Secretary General, she should have stand up and say, right now, listen, please. She can say it nicely. She speaks very well. Yes? She should say, we stand against that.
And she should say, I would agree. She said that if the people who choose to go to England.
Well, that's a different,
the people who choose to come to England as immigrant.
That doesn't mean you can't protect your borders.
No, if they choose, those who choose to leave their country and go there, if they are against being sent to Rwanda, it's a problem.
Yeah, well, but that is exactly, and
because they feel that you're sending them to a prison.
Oh, you mean this woman now, Mrs. Patel, who is the British Home Secretary?
Yeah.
Patel is not an English name. Her ancestry come from somewhere, probably in India or Pakistan, yes, or Sri Lanka, and come to England. And so she do the people who find themselves, as Mia Motley said,
she's
an
agent. No, she's an agent.
Agent of what? No, I don't accept that. Agent don't mean that you give up your conscience, Pearnel Charles.
No, but that. If she's instructed by the Prime Minister and the Cabinet.
That if she, as a clear descendant of an immigrant, does not distinguish herself and says, no, I can't do this, I am resigning, then she has no conscience.
You were a member of the Cabinet.
And I chafed at this collective responsibility. And if they had ever asked me to do something which in conscience I couldn't do, yes?
You asked permission to leave the room.
I gone. Yeah.
Well, look.
No, sir, this is no joke. Jamaica. Hello, Jamaica.
It's what this bridge is doing.
Yeah.
This bridge is pulling out all of us. And there are a lot of people who, I'm sure, have been inspired.
Yeah.
Some maybe hate what we're saying. I mean, the bridge is all for that too.
For that too.
Because the bridge allow you to walk over, come over.
Sure.
You know,
back and
forth. But, my friend, I'm worried about this Rwanda thing. And the reason I don't want to, because the president of Rwanda has agreed in a discussion with Britain.
Yeah, and take money.
He gets money.
Take money.
That
so
he
this is
wants
bounty.
To develop his country.
So this is bounty. That we're into. That we're keep our mouth for. That with Jamaican, yes, plenty we want to go to England. Yeah, and some of us don't have the right paper and thing. So we too, or people look like us, or even if it's Arab people, yes, and that them go do after the history that them bring on us, and we don't even say, look here, you know who I deal with? I deal with Prime Minister Mia Motley of Barbados, who went to the summit in America.
Yes.
And who said, look here, you're concerned about immigration. I'm paraphrasing now. She says, please understand that the people who line up at your borders, yes, have no alternative. This is their last resort.
Yes.
Now, largely, that is true. There are instances, maybe not.
There's some people use that as passage to go in.
Sure.
Pay big money too.
True. And you want to stop that. But don't tell me that the way of stopping that is that you have
to ride a horse and beat them back.
Hello.
No.
Or to rent a plane for £600,000. Yes, to send. It was last night. It was going to be 7 of them who went to Rwanda just to prove the point. Yeah, just to prove the point that we don't want you. after we use you, after we draw from you, after we left you, as Sir Hilary Beckles' book
No, but I
says,
think you're wrong on a point. Let me say that.
We left you, Mirazmi. Yes? Don't pay your reparations.
Those people who are being sent are not necessarily from any Commonwealth country.
No, maybe not.
No.
Hello, but Commonwealth.
Not from those who I see.
No, well, okay, but you would have to tell me that if people from Commonwealth country, if we are going to catch same way.
Yeah, but hold on. We are from a Commonwealth country.
You think
hold on. We were born in England.
You think them are
going? And a man send me to Jamaica. They don't do anything.
Same thing.
They give the president of Rwanda money to build things for them.
Yes, sir.
Them just send us on land at airport and go and left with.
Well, so they treat we even worse.
Of course we worse.
So when that don't know. Yes. Why we keep our mouth about that? I expect us to be have a principled foreign policy. To say, no, we don't agree with that because it can catch our people, and in any event, we have a humanity. We have a godliness that means that can work.
And you have a trade unionist like me who say, you never give my people that privilege. You didn't give Jamaica no money when you're sending them. You only land them at the airport and turn back your plane and gone. Right?
People who live...
In other words, if you were sending 100 Jamaicans back, because, okay,
hello, maybe I see something, Mr. Charles.
And you give us some money to buy the house of National Housing Trust to put them in. You make a little difference. You're building house in Rwanda. You're sending money to there. You're giving them road. You're even sending bus.
So
you're treating them much better than me.
So you think
again?
You think if it was white people, they would do it?
Look at those people.
Hey, radical talk on the bridge.
Look at those people who them sending back.
We don't skin up on this program here. We talk it straight.
But I want to get back to one thing you said earlier that inspired me to say the following.
Okay.
I really want to hear a song that either celebrate 60 or start to say all are we are one and hear you sing it. I would sing it because I can sing better than you.
I'm sure you can. I feel it.
But the truth is, it's a good point that we still have not had that thing that put us together past the color and the money and the privilege because those three things has given a big split in the country.
Right. And what we need to do is to use that kind of stimulation in order to really attack, because we are not all one yet, but we have the desire to be, even though we are shackled by the systems of the world and of our own making. I can't argue that we are one when I can spend $1,000 for lunch, and where I know large numbers of persons who can't eat from morning.
But
that's not human. That's not out of many one people, Pearnel Charles.
Listen, we have the right slangs. Out of many one people.
Yeah.
Right? But out of many.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, we come from different...
It means that all of us come from different sides, but we should have one objective.
This is it.
To make us life better for us.
Anything that is helping us to make our life better, that's, I believe, why you and I come on the bridge, and we invite other people there, everybody. Why we look forward to policies that are going to enable all sorts of people. Yes, then that's moving in the right direction. When we go in the opposite direction, which is what is killing this nation now, where we are shedding blood from people, where we are dividing up according to gang, according to politics, according to differences of class, religion, etc., that is going in the wrong direction.
You know, you just called 4 words a while ago. Let's call them politics.
Yeah.
Church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Race,
money,
all of these things fight for people in their man, you know.
Yeah.
In other words, certain people who come Adventist, some go to Catholic.
Yeah.
Certain men who have money go to this bar and that bar, or go to AC, or DC, or CC, right? And certain people with certain color don't go to certain school.
No, that's true. No, I'm asking you now. What is the point of all of that. When in fact, it is digging down our liberty. It is causing us all to be fearful, to have to spend all the money where we don't have on security, where it is encouraging others to give up on the country. All of that. For what?
And it increase hate. Yeah. Because Ronnie, I'm not telling no lie. When I came to town looking at work, and I hear about Malcolm X and then Martin Luther, what am I fight for? Yeah. When I went to New York, I joined Malcolm X.
Of course. I would expect that of you, knowing...
You understand? I was standing in Harlem, too, boss.
Yes, man.
Because, and then this guy, Abrams, Dr. Abrams, wrote an article the other day. I preserve it. That you can oppose a thing. Yeah. You can seek change a thing. Yeah. Even if you were part of it. I want to bring it short.
Sure, but let's encourage some examples. Again, you and I are trying to forge some common cause in our discussions here. To me, it is an absolute scandal that the leaders of the churches in Jamaica cannot swallow their spit and their pride enough. Yes, and decide that they're even going to stand up and make a common statement about the scourge of bloodletting and crime, about whether it is road safety, whether it is about effective education, whether it is about health for all, whether it is about the inequalities of the economy. Yes, I'm a churchman, but what are we good for if we cannot do that? If we fragment the body of Christ? I'm asking. Your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, your party leader, my party leader. Two of you, we have different positions in some respects. But what do you? The Jack Kingdom going to waste. Nobody can say otherwise. Yes? In many aspects of national life. 60 years coming up. And the two of them can't come together and make one statement. You're talking about, we're going to talk with Pearnel, with Bruce and Peter about common cause. Yes, and one day meeting at Jamaica House at Vale Royal Amav. And since then, no more. Some drastic changes come in about the Constitution, we are told. But nobody not sit down with the opposition or anybody else for talk. What are you doing?
Because, Ronnie, the question of out of ideas, one representing all of us, is not there.
So...
Out of all the churches, we put I nearly said what the gang of church leaders.
Council.
What a council of churches. What does a council of churches have? An Adventist, Catholic, Tabernacle, what the others? Jump Up.
Well, whoever. Yeah.
All the church, right?
So, but then so
have they decided that what is going on in Spanish Town? Yeah. Is wrong.
Everyone.
And we are now together as a church, as a religious sector of the society, going out there to talk to our brothers. Yeah. We're not carrying a police. No. We're not carrying a gun. Yeah. Some of us might get killed. Well, but that's part of the course. Yes. But the truth is, even from the universities, some of our intelligent young graduates who are in the limelight of radio and television, if they can't attack the PNP or the JP, they don't get no coverage. None of them. And I'm using Central Kingston not because you were there, but because I have gone there on several occasions and see something that bothers me. I told you about it. I went down there to look about fighting. And a mother come over and grab up one, box him. And I said, hold on, miss. She said, this boy beat my boy. I said, and they said, how are you doing it? I said, please, give me him. I took the two child together and I go and sit on a bench. I put one on my left, one on my right. I said, miss, could you excuse me? What do you mean? I said, how will you leave me? And she hold over her head and said, my boy. I said, not now. Leave me. And Ronnie, I sat with the two youngsters. One is about 5 and one's about 7. And I said, and they say, I him first box, miss sir. And I him this and that. I said, hold on now. how are we going to make you become friends? Me no want no friend with him, say, because I fight with every day. I say, hold on. And Ronnie, when I finish with them, a long story. When I finish with them, I say, what do you like to eat? He said, me like ice cream. He said, me too, sir. I said, all right. When them sell ice cream, up the top, I said, all right. When I sat with them, I said, shake on and promise me that you are going to be friends down here. They shake on. They not only shake on, they get up and hug up. I felt I was doing something great. The mother up there watching and I said, when my touch me pick the phone. And the two of them went and buy the two. I gave them the money. They bought 2 ice cream and come down. And
so
Ronnie, I was embarrassed that I had to taste it.
Yeah.
Me had to take the first bite.
Yeah, but
and people start to laugh.
Yeah, but
and I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
That action
Yeah.
brought those 2 little children together.
Yeah.
And some of the families in the community.
So help me now, sir. That simple story, it never broke you. It involved some effort on your part. Why can that spirit, the spirit behind that story that you gave, very, very powerful story in its simplicity and in its effectiveness, why cannot that kind of spirit be the mantra for our 60th independence anniversary? Yeah? Why we can't talk about that at the diaspora conference? Why it is going to be the underlying principle, yes, that we need to do more of that at an interpersonal level, at a community level, at a national level. That's a conversation we're going to have with Bruce and Peter shortly.
I think, Ronnie, it's a lot depends on where you were born. A lot depends on not only where you were born, but
I mean, I make excuses for our failure, you know. How you're brought up.
How you were brought up.
Yes, man. Oh, mercy, what a thought.
Because my mother
yes.
wouldn't have it any other way.
No. But then hold up. But every time you speak, I draw a principle from you. Your mother wouldn't have it any other way. So
and you wouldn't want to let down your mother.
So and Jamaica people don't want to let down their mother. So why we cannot make that a feature of motherhood now, rather than the screw up face of the mother you told me about little while.
What is the first thing you said this morning that frightens me?
Right.
That I had to jump up.
Yeah.
And these guys are very bright.
Yeah.
These leaders in the community record, the artists, are very bright, you know.
Yeah.
If they could produce something in a week,
Yeah, man.
saying,
Yes.
all of we are one,
whether
you're brown or you're black, all of we are one, whether you're poor or you're rich, all of you are one, whether you're born uptown or downtown, because come up as one.
Yeah.
We would start a journey that the little one them who still get in front of them, you know, that them driving to school while the other boy have to take cab, and the other boy have to walk.
Yeah.
You understand me?
I'm understanding you, but I'm asking, when does an individual principle become able to be scaled up, to be able to be broadened, to indicate a direction for the nation? And what is the role of leadership? Leadership on the media, leader in the church, leader in the business, leader in the politics. What is emblematic? What makes the difference that can make that? Yes?
Well, I'm going to ask Peter and Bruce a question when they come, so they might hear it now and start to think about it. Because in my opinion,
last word,
what we have not working, will not work in the future, and it's time to make it start to look like something can work is no.
Got you. Pearnel Charles Sr. joins Ronnie Thwaites on the Public Eye. When we come back from the break, we join Irwine Clare at Irie Jam in New York City. It's the global economic connection. And Bruce Golding and Peter Phillips join us. We're talking about common cause, how to make a difference with all of our people rather than just some. Stay tuned. You won't hear it elsewhere, but on the Bridge 99 FM. Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye. The Honourable Pearnel Charles and myself are joined by Bruce Golding. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Ronnie.
Happy to be with you. And happy to join Irwine Clare and the folk at Irie Jam in New York. Irwine, check in.
Yes, sir.
been doing that, been trying to find out if you guys were again missing in action. I know that your partner has been for the past 2 weeks. Have you found him?
I've found him. He's back and he's safe and he has a story to tell. Dr.
I hope it's a short story now.
No, never. Dr. Peter Phillips, welcome.
Much.
Thanks very much for joining us.
All.
Good. Peter Phillips, former leader of the opposition, member of parliament for East Central St. Andrew, linking with us on Irie Jam and the bridge to the tri-state and to the Jamaican people. Peter Phillips, you made a statement recently regarding the need for more unity, a common cause, if I recall the statement, in the face of the really difficult crisis of food, of cost of living, of economic problems that Jamaica is having. What was it that you were trying to get at?
That we are really in the early phase of a deepening global economic crisis that is still to hit us as a country with full force. The fuel and energy crisis, one might say, is upon us. The most recent reports coming out of the United Nations suggesting that world food prices are already up over 60% and rising, and that we're going to be facing, as a globe, tremendous shortages of food, but at minimum we can expect a rise in food prices, and that we are likely to see increased rates for borrowing, and that as a consequence, and with in the face of inflation, we really need to recognize that there is a crisis, that the crisis has the potential of derailing a lot of the gains we have made in terms of the management of our public finances, and certainly that the crisis is going to have a very negative effect on our population, particularly the poorest, and that in the face of that, what we really don't want to descend into is a kind of what I might call a political cascas, and I'd much rather we found some common cause to meet this crisis that is upon us. And I was suggesting that first start could be a discussion between the political parties or the key stakeholders within the parties who could have an impact on our ability to manage this crisis.
Bruce Golding, do you agree with Peter Phillips?
Yes, I agree, and I believe that it is something that could be of important value to our political relationships or culture. Not just to deal with this crisis, but to deal with so many other issues that have played a question of crime and violence, education, you name it. I think there is need for that. Mind you, in terms of dealing with the current situation, and Peter analyzed it, sort of set it out pretty well. But part of the difficulty is that we are not yet even in a position to plot a trajectory. You're hearing more and more whispers now about recession. So that it's not even a matter of saying, well, we're going to have to bear this through for the next 12 or 18 months, and then we're going to see some leveling off. We don't know how deep this abyss is going to be. In terms of the response to this crisis, I listened to the exchanges in Parliament. I've noticed some proposals that the opposition leader has put forward. I've seen the response of the Minister of Finance to those. One of the things that we have to understand is that the options are very narrow, very few. We don't have the flexibility to respond perhaps in the ways that the opposition is suggesting. But there needs to be discussion. Let me just say this on it to Ronnie. And you and I were at a place on Saturday evening, and I alluded to it. I am less impressed by the sort of public staging of those conversations, the Vale Royal talks, where so much media focus and so much public attention that I'm sure that when you sit down, there's a lot of tension in the room because of all that is expected. What I think would be far more effective, what I think would be far more useful, is if when Prime Minister Holness and opposition leader Golding are meeting, you and I don't even know.
Yeah.
We don't even know. They meet whether at Vale Royal, at each other's house, wherever. Have a glass of wine and talk about some of these things. Let us see the product of that kind of engagement when it comes out in Parliament when they both rise to speak. No? Because that is where I think you could talk genuinely, sincerely, without the media camped out outside to get sound bites from you and so on. The problem is that two things. Our political culture has never been able to accommodate that kind of relationship within its competitiveness. And secondly, to override that, it requires extraordinary leadership. One, but what is quite interesting is that it has to be extraordinary leadership on both sides at the same time. There's no point in having an extraordinary leader on this side, but the other one not responding. And then when the other side has an extraordinary leader, this one is holding his cards, So it is something that is perhaps worth discussion, as much as Peter has raised the immediate situation. But I believe, looking ahead, some of the problems that we have faced in terms of values and attitudes, let's go to that, trying to deal with how is it that we're pumping so much resources? Because we're pumping a lot of resources, need to pump more. How is it that we're pumping so much resources into educating our children, and when we look at what is coming out, it don't seem to match up? Things like that.
Pearnel Charles has had a longer experience in political life than perhaps any of us. What is in our culture? Is there anything that makes it possible for the kind of measure that both Peter Phillips and Bruce Golding are asking?
Well, Ronnie, let's be fair about it. It's as if Bruce and Peter set me up, because they say exactly what I would like to say. Right?
No, but hold on now. Wait a minute. I have to interpose, because here is a PNP MP, former leader of the opposition. Yes. Here is a former JLP leader and Prime Minister. You and all three of you are saying this is needed.
Hold on. Let me go a little further.
But what?
Let me go a little further.
Go further.
I told you when I came here in the morning that Peter Phillips is hiding in my study because he read something that I just wrote. I said, what was it? I said, we have three problems. We have the PNP on one side, the JLP on one side, the JLP leader on one side, the PNP leader on one side, right? And Bruce has just made the point. We have not been able to get together. We have not been able to, the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition said, Madam Speaker, we have a statement. And the both of them read the same statement. And we have a clapping on both sides. Why? Because the political culture that we have inherited and we have been building talk about somebody going to stay in power if you do that, somebody going to lose, and will constantly do it. So if you support the PNP, the JLP statements or action to prevent the murdering, and murdering stop, the JLP is going to say, so we do it. So the PNP say, you can't support them because we will never come in.
So what's the point?
Bruce has made the point. Forget the media, forget all the televisions. Bruce said a glass of wine, I don't even want the wine. 2 little bottles of water, like how Hugh Shearer and Michael Manley could have met, were meeting, and we never know how something come out. The two leaders have to take the line and produce in the PNP body and the JLP body something like that.
I want to ask.
We are not going to solve this problem fighting over who become Prime Minister, who become government.
What is the point of a political Irwine? What is the point of a political culture that keeps us constantly divided?
Power.
What's the point of it?
Power.
Well, power for who?
The power is if you come with me, I go and hold it on.
Yeah.
If I don't come with you, I go and lose it.
So,
because
All right,
so Mr. Clare, have your word, and then we do the round again.
Quick. It's a similar situation that exists in the United States today. I read an article just today that 9 or so of the most influential Republican donors to the Republican Party has reached out to the head of the Speaker of the House and the deputy and the minority leader of the Senate to say that we need to do something about immigration because it makes sense for our society. Then the backstory to that was that they can't do it right now because it would give the other party a leg up. So it's a similar situation that happens in political society, in democratic societies, who gets the upper hand. But we have an example here, gentlemen. An example taking place right now as we speak, and that's at the 9th Biennial Diaspora Conference, where Jamaicans that number significant outside of Jamaica and have a great deal of interest in Jamaica are meeting to find pathways to make sure that Jamaica remains first across all political divide. Now, there has to be some lessons to be learned there from our political parties, because it's a significant component of diasporans. Because just today you hear all the accolades from the Bank of Jamaica governor as to how the diaspora is doing XYZ. Can't we learn something from those type of engagement that Jamaicans really want to put aside the political differences?
Not unless the diaspora is prepared, the people we are talking about are prepared to exercise and to require some action, exercise some political power. But that is it. When we come back from the short break, we need to ask ourselves what changes in our constitutional order, what changes in our political behavior is going to alter the situation that we've just outlined. We soon come back. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge and Irie Jam.
I'm Irwine Clare. I'm joined now with Ronnie Thwaites, Pearnel Charles, and he has a distinguished panel of former Prime Minister Bruce Golding and former Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Peter Phillips.
Thanks very much.
Back to the dialogue, gentlemen.
I'd like to ask Peter Phillips, do you see in the current constitutional structure the potential for the kind of coming together that you prescribe as helpful?
I think that, first of all, I want to accept that there are things that we can do with the Constitution. But I think that the point made by Bruce and Pearnel in a way earlier, just about the will to have dialogue, needs to be emphasized. We present the current unwillingness, if you will, or the lack of dialogue as being a fixed and perhaps an eternal condition of the politics. I don't think that is an accurate reflection of how it has been. Bruce may remember, I certainly do, that in the 80s, after the 1983 election, which the PNP boycotted, there were certainly some discussions without much fanfare between the two parties. Bruce was involved, I think, leading the JLP team, Paul Robertson, the PNP team. We had discussions on lots of things, including local government reform, the potential for different constitutional paths to be followed. And, that was typical of that period, even though it was 60 or 63 to none in the parliament at the time. But there was a joint recognition that we really couldn't go forward unless there was some understanding about the path to be followed. In an even earlier phase of our history, in fact, I've been reading a manuscript about Wills Isaacs, and when one element of it was his efforts in relation to stimulating tourism. And it pointed to the support that he got from Ken Jones, who was then the JLP MP in East Portland, and the extent to which there was a common cause. I think part of the things we have to take account of is the way in which changes in our current environment encourage this kind of standoff. Not least because extremists in social media have a way of kind of halting the game. And this leads me to my second point, is that not only do we need to have the kind of will to overcome the divide, but we also need to recognize that throughout our history, at crisis points, civil society, and one might say the sane elements in civil society, have always been a positive, even though sometimes contentious, element in helping the country move forward. What was the cement that brought us all together in the early period, particularly as we had to confront the effort to secure independence from colonizing Britain and to find our way in the world, is that we recognized, I think, symbolized in both Bustamante and Norman Manley going to England to negotiate the final independence constitution. There was that recognition that we were in a joint enterprise to secure not only Jamaican statehood, but to make a success of it. And I think that the replacement of that with the substitution of that and the revival of that sense of a joint endeavor, despite the divisions, as distinct from just the quest for power, needs to be revived. Now, there are things that we had discussed in the Joint Select Committee way back in the 90s, 1997, including the possibility of having some elements of civil society in the Senate. It happens in some parts of, in some other Caribbean countries, and issues like that of which could be involved and revived in any discussions on constitutional change could help us forward. But we need to find the foundations of nationhood, which is not just concentrated on a standoff between political parties.
Is there a joint enterprise that can unite Jamaicans, Bruce Golding?
Yes, I think so. Just to follow up on what Peter said, there have been occasions where we have been forced to come together by circumstance, sometimes for our own survival, no? But that's not sufficient. It needs to become something that is instinctive. Constitutional reform can do so much and no more. It really will not by itself change. I mean, if for example, we were to go to a proportional representation system, you would avoid the kind of lopsided majority that you have in Parliament today. But I don't know that by itself would change the behavior. I think, quite frankly, and I'm not seeking to deflect blame or responsibility, but I think seriously that one of the reasons why the culture remains so entrenched is because so many Jamaicans have abandoned the political process. Not that they have become apolitical or they're not interested. They're very interested. I mean, you will hear them calling on your programs, on the various calling programs. But they have said to both political parties, a plague on both your houses. So if there was a time when the voting population was divided almost, 40% PNP, 40% JLP, and then you would struggle for the other 20, and then it went down, so that the uncommitted people grew, and that made them even more potentially powerful. But in those days, they used to vote. I mean, a good portion of them. When you get to a stage now where it is primarily the hardcore laborites and comrades that are voting, what you're doing is that you're causing the political practitioners to say, well, if you don't vote, you're not important. So when I'm doing my canvas, I am targeting all of my efforts, and I am seeking to reach out to all of those persons who are voters, and I want to make sure I bring out my set, and I hope that in bringing out my set, there are more than the other people's set. If that 60% that over the last 3-4 elections have sort of resolutely stayed home, If that 60% were to stand up and say to us, all right, now we're coming out of our houses, we go and vote. I mean, I ain't telling you who we're voting for, but we go and vote. But if you want us to vote for you, here are some things that you have to commit yourself to, and not just with words, you have to demonstrate that you're going to do them. They could transform the behavior of politicians in a most remarkable way, in a way that we have been searching for a long time. I can't find.
Irwine?
I agree with that statement, but it goes back to what you said, you just discredited, though. And that is, those 60%, those persons who don't vote or whatever the number is, they're looking to you, the leaders, to see how you work together. So we need to look at these low-hanging fruits that both sides agree on. Demonstrate to the population that you can work together. For example, one was recently the whole situation of the monarchy. And we see even there seemed to be some shifting. And I wanted to ask Mr. Golden about that as to what his opinions were. But there are things that they agree on, gentlemen, in the interest of the nation. They may not be as powerful, but these are the little things that helps to restore confidence in the system. So therefore, that the 60% who stays away will then start saying, hey, they're doing something. In other words, the 60% is saying to us, do something. Show us that you really mean to have the best of our interests at the heart as far as governing is concerned.
Irwine, can I just in response to what you said? Look at the Bahamas. The Bahamas voter turnout is, last time it was lower than normal, partly because of the damage that they had suffered to Abaco and Hurricane. But their turnout is normally over 90%. But they have a strong body of voters there who are not aligned to either of the two major political parties.
Right.
And they assert themselves, and sometimes they vex, but when they vex, they vote. And the political parties feel it.
Why don't?
Why don't
they vote?
Well, Bruce has just said something that we need to look at then.
What then?
Because I have said to you that in 1980, 88% of the people came out to vote because they were afraid of or in support of something.
Yeah.
Now, they're quite saying now, I give the JLP some money, I give the PNP some money. Both of them are the same thing. Anybody win, I work with them. That's one. Because, say it was Bruce, is there a threat to them? There's no threat to them. They don't care.
Well, hold on now. Peter Phillips
Ronnie, last point. I think that's what Peter was saying the last time. At that time we talked. There needs to be an examination of the political system as to whether it can continue as is, and we get that unity that we're talking about.
Well, I don't think it can, but let me ask Peter Phillips, there is at this point a real threat. The fact is that the majority of people are having a whole heap of trouble, unusual trouble, making ends meet, and the situation, as you pointed out at the opening, is likely to get more severe. Is that enough to create some kind of positive energy, or only negative response?
I don't think it's enough. I think there's another element. Hate to venture into your domain, Ronnie, but I recall somewhere it says no forgiveness of sins without confession. And I think that there is a sense that people have that the political process has not lived up to our hopes and expectations. And maybe there needs somewhere, in South Africa, they had the Truth and Reconciliation process. I don't think we need to replace that or to ape that or to try to copy that in its entirety. But I believe that part of the revival of public interest that Bruce is talking about won't come unless there is a kind of acknowledgement of where we have gone wrong, alongside this commitment to do something that is different in the way going forward, and something that is joint in terms of our commitment to the revival of Jamaica's nationhood. We won't find that spark unless there is a real acknowledgement that we have gone awry And I think that there is a sense that we have to overcome the disappointment by acknowledgement of our failings that many of the Jamaican people feel, and by virtue of that feeling are staying away from the political process.
Peter, if people really feel threatened by the present system, why should they stray away? I am saying that some of them are comfortable. And they say, whether Ronnie come...
Is the opposition of Pearnel.
Yeah.
I think that what they're feeling is that the present system is not giving them an answer to the problems. That you can be walking on the street and criminal activity kill you before you go home. That you're facing this problem. And part of that feeling is not just the feelings of the politics, because globalization has made the states kind of less able in many respects to manage the things going on in their own domain. But there hasn't been the kind of dialogue between the people and the politicians, and I'm not just talking about the diehards on either side. The wider populace has not been engaging for some time, as Bruce has pointed out, and partly because they don't think that the politicians, we, have had the answers.
I want to ask a question to all of you before I know Peter has to go. Can the present political system, let me broaden it, can the present political economy offer any strong hope for a fulfilled life to the people of West Kingston, North Clarendon, East Central, St. Andrews, Central Kingston, that all four of us have devoted considerable energy to representing? Bruce?
I think it can, but I really think that much of that promise is going to have to be targeted to the next generation, not this one.
The next generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. What I think is disturbing is that, we've been through hell and powder and brimstone. We were on a track, and give a lot of credit to Peter Phillips because of the effort that he made. We're on a track that I think would have put us in a position where we would have the capacity. Listen, I choose the word carefully. We would have had the capacity to be far more responsive to the needs of the people in the West Kingston and the Central Kingston and so on. A lot would then depend on what our inclination and will would be, successive government. But I was very, very encouraged and very confident that we're going to see a positive movement. I even started to ask myself the question, how is it that with all the economic activity as going on, the unemployment rate falling as it did, so much construction taking place that you can't find a mason if you want one. And when I look at the growth figures still remain anemic. And I've challenged some economic statisticians to explain that to me. But then came COVID.
Yeah.
And came Ukraine. And, it's almost like a snake and ladder situation where you find yourself reversing. And then you have to start climbing again. What is very important, we mustn't lose hope. And we mustn't lose focus on the things that worked and that started to put some energy in our legs and try and see how quickly we can get back there. The big question, and this is what I think you're asking, Ronnie, is what will happen to the people of West Kingston and Central Kingston in the meanwhile?
Yep.
Yeah, but there's something else that we want to go back to, Ronnie, that we've been complaining over the last 4 weeks. Are the people, the leaders, let's go to community leadership, let's go to church leadership, let's go to organizational leadership, insurance company leadership. Are they comfortable doing their thing? Are they concerned with what is happening down in the ghetto areas? Or are they concerned with man is thieving to survive, killing to survive? And I come back to the point, the present political system that search and identify who becomes power is not going to solve the solution.
Is there any germ of opening in either the governing JLP or the opposing PNP at this stage towards the kind of acknowledgement and reconciliation that is the fruit of this conversation. Peter Phillips, do you see it?
I think that there is the possibility. I think it has to be forced, it has to be galvanized by more than the leadership of the parties, and I use that phrase in its plurality. I think that we have to engage that whole range of other leadership that Pearnel mentioned. And maybe, just maybe, I think that there are some issues around which we can place the focus. The continuation of the management of public finances, which I think is getting us there, helping to get us out of the morass of over-indebtedness. I think that the issue of crime and violence and that segment of the youth population that has not benefited from the increase in job openings is another, the so-called unattached youth. And the third transcendental mission, which I think can probably be the salvation of the country, is education, the challenge of educational reform that will get us into the high productivity and high income domain for the future generations, but which we need to begin tackling now. And I think that we have to be hopeful, but there's a lot to be done to galvanize this hope through some kind of collective effort.
Peter Phillips, I know you have to go shortly. Pearnel, the last word, Peter.
Can I take my leave of you now?
Yes, before you leave, I cry when I say that politics as we have inherited it, politics as we have failed to transmit what we think to the younger generation, is going to be here for a long time. And if it is here, we are going to be right here in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years talking the same. Unless something happens that some sector of the society, which is the money sector, is going to say to you, I'm not supporting you. To you, I'm going to support you. Because it is the money and the politics that are still managing and running the thing.
What a dismal suggestion. Peter Phillips, thank you so much for your help.
I just wanted to say to Pearnel, there's the money sector, but there's the angry sector as well too.
Don't we know?
Let's be careful.
Yes.
God bless you all.
Dr. Peter Phillips. When we come back from the break, Bruce Golding, Irwine Clare, help us to wrap up, to summarize, to give some tangible hope. Maybe that involves money, but goes beyond that, eh? This is a Public Eye on the Bridge and Irie Jam. Soon come. This is a Public Eye and the Open Mind on the Bridge 99 FM. Joining with Irie Jam, Irwine Clare is on the line. Bruce Golding, I asked a question. Is there any germ, any ferment in the political galaxy that you know of that's willing to take an initiative? Is it left to retirees like your good self and others here present?
No, it is there. It is there, but it has to be summoned. It is going to take, I don't want to use the word extraordinary because that has so many different, it's going to take perceptive leadership. Leadership that can see far beyond just the problems that we have now and far beyond just the politics. Call that extraordinary if you want. Because, quite frankly, I can speak for the JLP, and I'm sure it's the same thing in the PNP. There's going to be internal pushback.
Sure.
Because of the level of mistrust. Mm-hmm. We have to go fight them man next election, so we
friend up with them now.
So it's going to take leadership that is prepared to say, no, hold on.
Yeah.
That is not so. I mean, we have done that long enough and we're not getting anywhere. But secondly, and this is the point I made earlier, civil society is going to have to recognize not only its responsibility, because I believe it's a responsibility, but the power that they have. I mean,
which
if they were to mobilize themselves in a serious way, it would cause politicians, when their executives meet, to concern themselves with, I wonder what them people are thinking, because that's power out there. But within civil society itself, there are serious ideological and other differences.
Yes.
And it's a question of whether or not the leadership can emerge out of civil society, the same sort of perceptive leadership that can surmount all of those differences, help to shape a common agenda, and say, now look, we're ready to talk to the JLP and PNP because we're all at one.
You want me to give you an example, Irwine, Claire?
Yes.
If the association, the UJA, the alumni associations, we all know them, were they to come together and say to the Jamaican government and opposition, watch you know, we are investing probably $1.5 million a year in Jamaican schools, and we are tired of the mediocre performance. We want to make certain that there is no promotion unless you've achieved a certain level of competence in the previous grade. We want to make sure that those who need it are being fed properly when they come to school. We want to have basic things like a better attendance rate. We're now running at 75% according to the minister. If they said this is a condition under which we will continue and perhaps increase our investment, it would be a very powerful incentive along the lines of pressure that Bruce Golding is talking about. How about it, Mr. Clare?
And before Irwine, before you come in, you know what would really expand the power of civil society exponentially is if the Jamaica-based civil society were to find a way to join hands with the diaspora that is becoming more organized now. Yeah. And I hope that in that becoming more organized, I hope that the purity of its programs and intentions are being preserved. But if you ever had a serious linkage between the Jamaican civil society and our diaspora. Let me tell you something. It would concentrate the minds of the politicians wonderfully.
No. What about let's be practical, Irwine. Suppose at the function that Bruce Golding mentioned we met at last week, I suggested that the churches in Jamaica could and civil society more broadly, the trusts, could have one objective: to make sure that every child at least came to school. Yes? We're not far from that. Suppose that were to link with the efforts of the alumni associations, that powerful group that you have something to do with there. What a difference it might make.
But gentlemen, it can. Yeah. It has started. Okay. But we need more support and leadership and dedication, because I heard about the type of leadership we require. So my question is, do we have those leadership potential? Don't we have those leadership potential right now? Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
I think that.
But yes, we do.
We do.
But and the point is that
the Bridge and Irie Jam has something to say in the matter.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Yes. But again, though, gentlemen, I also want to bring to your attention about civil society. We saw what the George Floyd uprising with Black Lives Matters and all the uprising during 2020, the early part of 2021, what it has done to the United States. Have it solved all the problems? No. But I also want to go back to some aspect of the conversations we were having earlier on about the participation of our people in the political process. Right now, we still continue to elect minority-oriented persons in the United States. If I want to run for city council person in Southeast Queens, where there are 90,000 persons registered to vote, I can win with 2,000 persons. Because that's the level of when we say non-interest in the political process. So it's not just here in Jamaica.
So why? What's it? The belly full up there?
No, it's not the belly full up there.
To what I said earlier, we have had it in Jamaica.
Yeah.
If this major part of the population does not feel threatened by either one side or the other side, they just keep quiet and let you guys go on, because no, anyone come is all right with me.
So therefore, I'm questioning Bruce Golding when I asked him if there's a joint enterprise that really galvanizes Jamaica together, because obviously you don't think so.
Listen, I think there's one, and Mr. Golding, this is a challenge I want to put out
quickly,
to you, because
time running.
The whole situation about the monarchy I was taken aback by the recent utterance by the minister last week, I think, in Parliament. That seems to coin it with constitutional reform, which means is that, to me, I interpret that, sir, as kicking the ball down the road. I think that there's an aspect that you can get over 60% of Jamaicans to agree on. And I think that there's something that both parties can work on in unity to show to the nation. And although some leaders may not believe in symbolism, but this is a symbolic gesture that can bear fruit.
Boy, pretty weak one. But anyway, Bruce, what do you think?
The problem is that if you were ever able to decouple it from the other constitutional issues like Privy Council and so on, and go to the polls, you'd fight to get a 15% turnout.
That's my view. I mean, people just not.
Yeah.
It's no big thing.
Yeah, no big thing. That's right.
Yeah. Irwine, I understand your suggestion, but that's
it is sad.
Yeah.
It is sad. Which means that we have a lot of work to do, gentlemen.
It does. Listen,
we have a lot of work to do.
Sad, but to be the people that we have to work with are comfortable, and unless they feel it a threat, that they have to get up off their behind and go out there to choose, they are not. And that is why I joined Peter in saying the political system has to be restructured and reorganized.
Well, maybe we're reaching that point as we close, because when you have to pay $260 or $280 for a liter of gasoline.
Ronnie, I just come from Chicago. $6.15 US.
But them have money. Them have money. We don't have it.
And them have oil too.
Well,
we don't have oil and money, and we are paying half of that.
What is the point of tolerance where people, if I'm reacting to your notion of threat, where people say, no, we can't really have the same, even if there's no reduction that's possible, and I don't believe there really is.
We're talking about the restructuring of the political system.
Sure, but
not necessarily the economic system.
I can't decouple those two.
The political system dominate both the social, cultural, and the system.
Some would argue that the economic system is predominant over the others, but never mind. We'll see to that. Yes. There we go.
Is this money that run this stuff?
Bruce Golding, thanks for your clarity. Interesting discussion. Continuing role for people who of pedigree who have retired, still have a clear voice. Thank you so much. Continue.
Well, thank you very much, Ronnie.
Pearnel Charles, thanks for your company. We look forward to next week. Irwine Clare, mobilize your people in the tri-state area. We look forward to a united front. All the best to you. Thanks so much for your company on the Public Eye today. Time now for the music. Nicky Z is here. Okay. Join us next week on the Public Eye. Till then, take care.